welcome back to another edition of Mental Submit. Today we're going behind the scenes with Miss Ciara Lilly, president of the Higher Ground Consulting Group. And so we talked a little bit in the podcast kind of about your entrepreneurship journey, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your personal journey and what it's like being a minority in the business field. So if you just talk a little bit about that journey.
Absolutely. So my professional background started in journalism. So I worked with several publications, the Greensboro News and Record, in my hometown of Greensboro, North Carolina, and I thought I was going to move to New York and I was going to work with the Essex magazine or some kind of big publication there. I was fortunate to spend a summer in New York and said, okay, that's not the place for me. I like Southern hospitality, and so I came back and said, okay, well, I'm going to try to put together all of my experience in journalism and try to figure out how can I make it marry and create it into a career. And so I went to school at Gardner-Webb for 2 years, transferred to UNC Charlotte, because Gardner-Webb was in Bowling Springs, which is a one-stop light town, and there were not many opportunities for me there. So I went to UNC Charlotte, and coming to Charlotte was life-changing for me. Going to UNC Charlotte was life-changing for me because I saw this opportunity. And I knew at that time, not only was I a minority, but I was also a gay woman who was going to be, going into a career that would be a male-dominated industry. And you didn't see a lot of people of color advancing in that space, and certainly not people that were of the LGBTQ community. So I said, well, I'm going to just come to Charlotte, and I'm going to find as many opportunities to intern with as many companies as I can, and I'll find my place. So that's what I did. I interned with JSW Media Group, which is a boutique PR firm here in Charlotte. They gave me my first opportunity, realized that PR wasn't the direction that I wanted to take, and then I finished my undergrad degree and said, okay, well, I have an opportunity to start in marketing. So started in marketing with a law firm based in Matthews. And I was doing lead generation and search engine optimization. And this was right at the beginning. So this was 2009 when all of this came about. So in 2009, I'm pursuing, this career in marketing. It's a male-dominated industry that I'm in. And that's where I realized that's not exactly where I want to be either. And so my mom actually had open heart surgery while I was there, her second open heart surgery. And so it required me to look at that career that I had because it was time intensive, and it took just a lot for us to be able to manage that in an effective way. So I said, well, I'm going to resign from this, and I'm going to take everything that I've learned over my few years in the industry. I'm going to put it together in a business. And so I started Lilly Patent and Pen. This was my first entrepreneurial venture. And it gave me an opportunity to really define what I was going to look like in this global marketplace. How was I going to show up and be authentic to myself? So this was around the time that I started to become more comfortable in my own skin, being a minority, being a woman, being someone of the LGBTQ community, and it gave me confidence. And so I took that, and Lilly Patent and Pen became a premier writing and editing firm where we worked with career transitioning professionals and emerging small businesses. It was right after the recession, so we worked with a lot of people who were unemployed, and they couldn't afford our services, and so Lilly Patent and Pen became more of a nonprofit. And at that time, I said, well, nonprofits have to make money. They need capital of some sort. So I went back and I looked for an organization that I could work with, and I knew that I wanted to work with a minority-owned company. That was the big thing for me. So I went on Craigslist before Craigslist was a little dangerous. And I went on Craigslist and I found the opportunity to work with a minority-owned company that provides facility services. And that was probably the game-changing moment for me, because there I saw that you can be a person of color and you can own a successful business, and you do not have to compromise your integrity or try to conform. You can really show up and be successful. And when I saw that and was given an opportunity to be in charge of their business development, really growing that organization. That was it for me. That was it, because then I realized, okay, now I've been successful with my own entrepreneurial venture. I have an opportunity to help someone else who I believe in, and that person believes in me, and I don't really have to conform anymore. So this was in 2012. And if you look back, Facebook always tells all of my business. When you look at 2012, you see me going from, dress, long hair, makeup, heels. People don't believe me. It's true. It's on Facebook. To now saying that's not me, and I'm no longer going to try to fit in. I'm truly going to be, true to myself and authentic to myself. And so that's where that shift happened. And I think that's where, as a minority and a woman, as a person of the LGBT community, it was key to me that I needed to be an example. And so that was the turning point in 2012, and really 2014 is when it was like, okay, I'm like this, and I'm showing up. I've cut my hair, I've changed my whole attire, my whole wardrobe changed, and it was clear to me that I had to set an example, because there weren't many examples when I was coming up early in my career to show me that you could be successful and you could be all of these things. You could be a minority, you could be a woman, you could be, gay, lesbian, whatever. There weren't examples, and so it was important to me that I set that example, and I haven't turned back since then. I haven't turned back.
And you're doing pretty well.
I always tell people, you want people to judge you by your fruit, right? So when I started working with the company that provides facility services, it was key for me that in a business development role, you can only judge me based on my performance. Mm-hmm. If I do not perform, if I do not grow this organization, I'm not going to be here. Whether I'm going to dress, whether I come like this, whatever, it's all about performance, right? And the value that you can offer organizations that you work with. So for me, that was it. It was that if I focus on the value that I create, then all the other things don't matter. And these are in male-dominated industries where, it was kind of taboo to come into those industries, and they saw me, you look at my badge to date, you look at my badge and it has, me dressed up and long hair, and now you see me now, and it was very taboo. It was a learning experience for everyone, but I really hung my hat on the fact that people could only judge me on the fruit. What did I produce, and what was my life going to be like? And that was, when I understood that, then everything started to change, and people started to say, you know what, I had so many misconceptions, right? And then people who were still struggling with their identities, could anchor themselves in having an example that says you can still be successful, and you don't have to compromise who you are or how you show up to maintain that success.
I love that. And I think you're doing a great job of setting an example, especially in the Charlotte community. I noticed when looking at your background, you started a scholarship for UNC Charlotte students. Talk a little bit about that, and what are your goals with that scholarship?
Absolutely. So my grandmother passed away, and when I was growing up, my grandmother was big on education. She says, if you get your education, that's the only thing that someone can't take from you. And that was like a staple growing up for me. So I was so big on education. When I started working and, became a little bit more established in my career, I had this dream of starting a scholarship. I love UNC Charlotte for what it allowed me to do in my career, and to allow me to break my teeth into into who I would become as a professional. And so I said, I'm going to start a scholarship. I did not, at first, when I had this dream, I did not have the resources to support it. So it was a dream. It was really a dream, and I kept, I kept thinking about, okay, I'm just going to start the scholarship. I believe that you have to have a vision, and you have to really hold on to that vision, even if all around you there's nothing to support that vision is going to ever manifest. Right? You have to hold on to it. And so when the opportunity came for me to start the scholarship, it was clear to me that I wanted it to go to students who needed it. I was very fortunate to be able to pursue, my collegiate career, like to study, and although it wouldn't have been possible without loans, it was, I felt it was a privilege that I had had to go pursue my education further. And so I wanted to create that for someone else who was in that same situation, that came from a background where they didn't have the resources to be able to finance their own college, and we said, you know what, we're gonna do this. We're gonna start this scholarship in honor of my grandmother. We want to be intentional about who it goes to. So we put the scholarship under a program at UNC Charlotte that works with disadvantaged and low-income students that are coming into the college experience without many resources. And so that was key for us. We wanted that, and we wanted to also be intentional about being involved in their lives. So every scholarship recipient I've met, I've had a chance to follow them in their journeys because we want to see, not, hey, here's a check. We want the relationship more than we wanted to, provide the resource there, the financial resource. And so it was important that they saw me. It was important that I showed up authentic in that, because I wanted them to see, we're not giving this scholarship to just one type of person or one type of student, right? I wanted them to see that all of who I am can do really good in the community, and if we touch on these populations where people aren't really tapped into, they're not really tapped into helping them, they're not really tapped into getting to know them, getting to know why the situations are what they are, that it could really be transformative. And it could, for me, education has been the real game changer for me. Like, it was still to this day, education is key to me through podcasts that I listen to, and everything else is really key. And so we wanted to create that. The scholarship allowed me to, put it in honor of my grandmother. So it's a legacy builder for our family, but it's also to help people who have similar backgrounds to me, to help them and to say, I see you, I value, what you're attempting to do, and I want to help you in that journey because I believe that you have great things to accomplish. And we've been very fortunate to continue to support that, and the goal is to grow the scholarship, so that we can provide more students with opportunities to, pursue their college education.
Fantastic. How many students have you helped so far?
Yeah, so we have helped 4 students so far.
Okay.
And we made a 5-year commitment. And so at that 5-year mark, the goal is to increase that now. So we want to be able to help more students and be able to not only look at the financial component of it and increase that, but we also want to get more involved in helping them, be it through internships and, the network that I've been fortunate to build, helping them to tap into it, to find opportunities once they leave college, because that's you really have to have a plan. Sally Mae and all of them, they call you, I'm telling you. So you want to have a clear plan, and so we want to be able to get more hands-on, and what does life look like after they walk across that stage. So that's that 5-year mark. That's part of the strategy, is to get a little bit more hands-on.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What message would you have to someone who's listening who maybe feels like they're at a disadvantage because they don't have those resources, or they don't have that network, or they don't have that mentorship? What would you tell that person?
Yeah. The biggest thing, and I think a lot of people say it, but persistence to me is everything. You have to know that you know that you know that you have a greater purpose. And even if you're trying to figure that out, what does that look like for me? We all have a purpose for being here. And that persistence to say, no matter what, no matter where it came from, no matter what circumstances I'm dealing with, no matter what, I'm going to be successful, or I'm going to, live my life authentically, or whatever that is for you. You have to be unwavering in your commitment to that. And I think persistence, the power of persistence, is often overlooked. Just being so laser focused on overcoming the odds, I think, is so critical. And I would say, I listen to, in this day and age, education is not just going to a school, and you've got podcasts that you can listen to. Google's everything. You can, so you have opportunities, whether you lack a physical mentor or not. You can learn from so many other people, and find those people who are in a place that you want to be, and just, stalk them. I stalk people, like I stalk people, in a legal way. I stalk people though, because I want to learn and I want to figure out what are they, what are the nuggets of wisdom that they're dropping, right? That I can extract and I can use it to build myself up. That's key. That was key for me, finding people who I could say, okay, I want to be where they are, and then I just adapted to what I saw they did. I learned about their ways, and then I made adjustments so that I could say, okay, I've got this, and I just added to my toolbox over time, and it didn't cost me anything. It wasn't, I didn't have to worry about going to pay hundreds of dollars to go to speaking engagements and all of these different events that you can go to get your motivation. I just went on their Facebook or their Instagram or their any social media, and I followed them, and I made it my objective to find the nuggets of wisdom that they were dropping, and I put it together. And I think if we do that and we're intentional about doing that, that there's nothing that we can't accomplish, and finding those people that are going to cheer you on, that are going to be there, the sources of motivation that you can tap into to really build you up. And help you just establish that resolve.
I love that. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I hope you guys learned a lot of great things from this interview. If you want to hear more about Ms. Lilly's entrepreneurship journey, be sure to check out the podcast on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Anchor, wherever you get your podcast from. I'm Candice Kelly, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.